The thing that struck me as oddest was the way the old categories no longer made sense. Throughout the 20th century, it's been pretty easy to distinguish between the bourgeois world of capitalism and the bohemian counterculture. The bourgeoisie were the square, practical ones. They defended tradition and middle-class morality. They worked for corporations, lived in suburbs, and went to church. Meanwhile, the bohemians were the free spirits who flouted convention. They were the artists and the intellectuals, the hippies and the beats. In the old schema, the bohemians championed the values of the radical 1960s, and the bourgeois were the enterprising yuppies of the 1980s. But I returned to an America in which the bohemian and the bourgeois were all mixed up. It was now impossible to tell an espresso-sipping artist from a cappuccino-gulping banker. And this wasn't just a matter of fashion accessories. I found that if you investigated people's attitudes towards sex, morality, leisure time, and work, it was getting harder and harder to separate the anti-establishment renegade from the pro-establishment company man. Most people, at least among the college-educated set, seem to have rebel attitudes and social climbing attitudes all scrambled together. Defying expectations and maybe logic, people seem to have combined the countercultural 60s and the achieving 80s into one social ethos. After a lot of further reporting and reading, it became clear that what I was observing is a cultural consequence of the information age. In this era, ideas and knowledge are at least as vital to economic success as natural resources and finance capital. The intangible world of information merges with the material world of money, and new phrases that combine the two, such as intellectual capital and the culture industry, come into vogue. So the people who thrive in this period are the ones who can turn ideas and emotions into products. These are highly educated folk who have one foot in the bohemian world of creativity and another foot in the bourgeois realm of ambition and worldly success. The members of this new information age elite are bourgeois bohemians, or to take the first two letters of each word, they are Bobos. These Bobos define our age. They are the new establishment. Their hybrid culture is the atmosphere we all breathe. Their status codes now govern social life. Their moral codes give structure to our personal lives. When I use the word establishment, it sounds sinister and elitist. Let me say first, I'm a member of this class, as, I suspect, are most readers of this book. We're not so bad. All societies have elites, and our educated elite is a lot more enlightened than some of the older elites, which were based on blood, or wealth, or military valor. Wherever we educated elites settle, we make life more interesting, diverse, and edifying. This book is a description of the ideology, manners, and morals of this elite. I start with the superficial things, and work my way to the more profound. After a chapter tracing the origins of the affluent educated class, I describe its shopping habits, its business culture, its intellectual, social, and spiritual life. Finally, I try to figure out where the Bobo elite is headed. Where will we turn our attention next? Throughout the book, I often go back to the world and ideas of the mid-1950s. That's because the 50s were the final decade of the industrial age, and the contrast between the upscale culture of that time and the upscale culture of today is stark and illuminating. Furthermore, I found that many of the books that really helped me understand the current educated class were written between 1955 and 1965, when the explosion in college enrollments, so crucial to many of these trends, was just beginning. Books like The Organization Man, The Death and Life of Great American Cities, The Affluent Society, The Status Seekers, and The Protestant Establishment were the first expressions of the new educated class ethos. And while the fever and froth of the 1960s have largely burned away, the ideas of these 1950s intellectuals continue to resonate. Finally, a word about the tone of this book. There aren't a lot of statistics in these pages. There's not much theory. Max Weber has nothing to worry about from me. I just went out and tried to describe how people are living, using a method that might be best described as comic sociology. The idea is to get at the essence of cultural patterns, getting the flavor of the times, without trying to pin it down with meticulous exactitude. Often I make fun of the social manners of my class. I sometimes think I've made a whole career out of self-loathing. But on balance, I emerge as a defender of Bobo culture. In any case, this new establishment is going to be setting the tone for a long time to come. So we might as well